What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the TCG Empire YouTube channel. Today we are taking a look at Rowan's top 4 Mew VMAX list. With 151 being legal, Mew VMAX actually kind of gets better, even though Charizard is in format. Now, Charizard is a threat for the format, but with this particular type of Mew build, you kind of have an easier time against it, and I will get right into that. But first, the star of the show, you have Mew VMAX. Mew VMAX has Cross Fusion Strike. Choose one of your benched Fusion Strike Pokemon's attacks and use it as this attack. And then it also has Max Miracle. You never have the chance to actually use Max Miracle unless you're copying your own Mew VMAX on the bench, because we are only playing double turbos. But it is just a hard-hitting card, and it does have free retreat. So if you do use something like the Genesect Cross Fusion Strike into Techno Blast, even though you can't attack the next turn with having free retreat on Mew, you can pivot between the two and keep hitting hard. And the new star of the show is actually Luxray V. Now, Luxray V has been out for quite a while now, but it's just now seeing love due to another card that we'll talk about in a second. Luxray V has the Fang Snipe attack. For a double turbo, you do 10 damage basically, and you can discard a trainer from your opponent's hand, and they also have to reveal their hand. So this is really strong, especially with something like Judge into Path to the Peak. It means that you can rip a card out of your opponent's hand, putting them to 3, and also being paired with that is the new card from 151 being Grabber. Grabber is insane. As it says, you get to basically look at your opponent's hand, and a Pokemon you find there you put to the bottom of the deck. So basically what this means is that, you know, when you're playing against Charizard with Mew, you get to put their Charmanders to the bottom of the deck. Or if they have Charizards and Charmanders are already on the board, you get to put the Charizards to the bottom. So the essence with this is that you basically go Judge, Path to the Peak, use Grabber, strip a card from your opponent's hand, that's a Pokemon, and then you use Luxray, meaning that that 4-card hand that they just got is down to 2, and their Path to the Peak locked. And pretty much Luxray just allows you to kind of set up in the back for the later turns, but this is kind of your key combo on how you beat something like Charizard. We also do have things like Power Tablet in order to increase our damage output, so that way we can take one-shots with Mew. We are playing one Iono just because it's more better in the late game as far as being able to rip cards from your opponent and them having to find ways to recover from, you know, something like Path to the Peak, or, you know, being grabbered and things like that. Iono is better in the late game, but most of the time what you want to do to apply early pressure is use Judge in order to have both of you shuffle and draw 4, whereas Iono can be 6, 5, 4, which is the same as Judge, until your opponent gets to 3 prizes, and then obviously Iono will be better than Judge. But we are also playing Penny just to kind of pick things up. If you need to pick up a DTE Luxray because you need the energy, you have the ability to do so. And overall, it's just super solid. I think that, you know, this particular list is something that is fantastic. The only thing that I did change is that I don't believe, I think some lists were actually playing the Potown store. I don't think you need it. I think 3 Path to the Peak is better. Rowan's list was actually playing 3 Path to the Peak, no Potown store, so this is his exact 60, so overall it's super solid. So if you guys do want the deck list, it will be posted right now on the screen, so you guys have a full clean view of it and a full breakdown. And then in the description will also be the copied and paste link, just so you guys can copy and paste it into Pokemon Trading Card Game Live and play it for yourselves. But otherwise, if you guys do enjoy today's video, do me a favor, smash the like button, subscribe, turn on post notifications. Let me know down below what you think of Mew VMAX with Grabber, if you think it's fair or not. But otherwise, thank you guys for everything. If you are interested in hoodies, let me know down below and I'll get that started. But otherwise, thank you for everything, and I'll catch you guys in the gameplay. Later. Alrighty, guys, into the very first game here with Mew VMAX. Hopefully it's not too bad. We are playing against something like Charizard or Drapion. We do have access to Path to the Peak, and we also have access to Grabber, so it really just comes down to how our turns look and if we can consistently do what we need to do. And thankfully, with things like Luxray, we can also kind of just power through, and this opening hand is looking fantastic. So I'm definitely not hating it. And we might actually be able to pull off a turn 1 Luxray with a Path and a Judge, and really anything else. So there is a Radiant Jirachi coming down. And my opponent is going Arcdura. So let's see what they do. So they are getting 2 Duraludons out. So it's just going to be a matter of being able to strip away the Path to the Peaks. Or, I'm sorry, strip the Path to the Peaks in play, but also get rid of some cards on my opponent's end. So we can pull off the turn 1 Lux right here, and potentially a Grabber will be in a good spot. So we do have access to Feather Ball. First thing we'll do is use the Battle VIP Pass. We'll grab 2 Genesects here. I don't think that there's going to be too much. So I think we're just going to kind of build our board here, go from there. So what we can do is go here. We can use the Cramomatic. We're going to need our power tablets. So I think getting rid of the Feather Ball is okay here. And we do hit heads, which means that we can grab another Battle VIP Pass. And Battle VIP Pass means that we can get Genesect as well as the Luxray in order to just take a look at my opponent's hand and kind of strip away some cards. So the start that we have, not looking too bad. So the first thing we can do is use that Fusion Strike system, drawing us 4. Or I'm sorry, drawing us not 4, drawing us 3. And now, let's see. I don't think that there's too much we're going to have going on. I think what we're going to do here is we'll just use the Star Alchemy. We could grab Judge and possibly go Judge into Mew. I think what I'm going to do instead, though, is just grab the DTE, because we can Path DTE my opponent. And attach here. Attach here. We can use one more Fusion Strike system before we put the Path to the Peak in play. And we do get some power tablets. I feel like I'm going to need to hold on to those. So I think what we'll do here... let's see. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in hand. I could use 1 power tablet, because I'm still in an okay spot. So we'll use 1, and then we'll use Genesect for 1. We get Escape Rope, so we do have the ability to kind of set up how we need to. And then what we can do is use the Fang Snipe for 10. Check out my opponent's hand and kind of strip away anything. We'll get rid of the Ultra Ball. And I didn't quite see what the other card in their hand was. But we did see that they have a Sharon's Care. They have something else, and then they have one of another card. But honestly, while we just build our board, it's going to come down to, using Mew and going from there. So there's the Trinity Charge. So we do have the ability to buy ourselves a turn. And then this means that if we can top deck something like a supporter or really anything, we do get Ultra Ball, which is good. Ultra Ball means that we can grab the Mew VMAX. So I don't hate that. So what we'll do is go Ultra Ball. We'll grab the Mew VMAX. We can evolve. And then we can go into Fang Snipe again, taking a full look at my opponent's hand. They have a Single Strike Energy and the Sharon's Care. So we'll just get rid of the Sharon's Care. And now, as long as, we start to kind of draw some things that we need, we'll be in a good spot. So there's the Single Strike Energy coming down. Iono from my opponent. That means that we get to see more cards, which is perfect. And we do get the Choice Bell as well as Cramomatic. We have a Sween Heavy Ball, so there's quite a few things that we can do next turn. There's the Trinity Charge again. So we could actually take a knockout on this Arceus. I think what we'll do, we'll figure out exactly how we want to play some things out. But I think what we'll do first is put the Choice Belt on Mew. We'll go Cramomatic. Get rid of the Hisuian Heavy Ball. We do hit Tails, unfortunately, but it's not the end of the world. We can use another one. And we hit Tails again. So I think what we'll do here is we'll just use Judge. Draw us 4 fresh new cards. And we actually do have access now to getting rid of Path, which means that we can draw with Genesect. Which means if we want to, we can take a knockout here. But I think what I'm going to do is save the Lost Vacuum. And what we'll do is just hit for, let's see. If I get the DTE now, I can take the knockout. My opponent has to find a Duraludon VMAX. But I actually don't hate that. So what we'll do is go Cramomatic. We'll strip away the escape rope. We do it heads, so heads means that we can grab a DTE. So I think what we'll do is grab a DTE, and then we'll use Lost Vacuum, and then we'll use Fusion Strike System 4-5, go through, because we do still have access to 2 more Lost Vacuum, and we still have access to 2 more Path to the Peak as well. I think this is what we'll do. We'll hold on to it right now, and we'll just use the Fang Snipe. Take a look at what's in my opponent's hand. So they do have the Duraludon VMAX and they do have a DTE. So they can evolve, retreat, and can actually KO. But aside from that, there's not too much that they're going to be able to do. So I think we'll just hit for 30. They're going to be forced to get rid of an energy if they want to retreat or attach. So I think we're in a good spot. And then we can actually just go into the Mew. We can hit for 200 plus. And then next turn, kind of use Lost Vacuum to draw through some more cards. So we're still going to be able to 2-shot the Duraludon, even with the V-Guard, because we do have the Choice Belt. So I think we're going to be in a super solid spot. So my opponent is going to take 2 prizes here. And I think I'm going to leave the Path in play just for 1 more turn. We do get another Lost Vacuum. Let's see. If I leave the Path in play for 1 more turn, means that my opponent doesn't have that, but I do need to try and see Grabber if I can, just to kind of keep an eye on my opponent's hand. I think we'll be able to do that. So I think what we'll do here is we'll just go Lost Vacuum, get rid of the Path in order for us to draw, because we can always put down another Path to the Peak. And we do get a few cards that we can actually work with. We have Judge, we have Penny, Boss's Orders, so not looking too bad. So what we can do here is use the Feather Ball, grab the Mew. And we do have the 2 Grabber in deck still, which is good. So we can evolve here. We'll use Judge. My opponent is at 4, but it's all good. So we get a DTE, which is solid. So that means that we can go a DTE here. Use a Fusion Strike System 4-3. Get the Path to the Peak as well as Ultra Ball, which means that we can thin some cards that we don't really need at the moment. And as long as we can hit Grabber and kind of streamline what we need to, we should be okay. So we use the last Fusion Strike System 4-3, and we do get the Grabber. So we can use Grabber. There is Umbreon VMAX, and my opponent has Colress as well as Research, so they will be able to draw. But I think what I'm going to do is keep the Umbreons in their hand, because that means that they do have to get rid of them. Oh, we have to grab a Pokemon, so that's fine. And then we'll just use the Path to the Peak, cross Fusion Strike, And then we'll go into Technoblast for 190. And the nice thing is that next turn, we can actually use Max Miracle. Depending on how things go. I'm trying to figure out the best way to map my turns. Because I can take a knockout here, take 3 prizes. And then I can take either 3 more on Duraludon here. Or I can go 2, then 1. And my opponent's going to hit 210 here, so I take a knockout. If my opponent has a boss or something, then they do have the ability to take 3 prizes. So it's going to be kind of iffy. My opponent can go into Trinity Nova. My opponent goes into Jirachi, so they probably have a path counter. Or they just want to sack off the Jirachi. And they just choose to sack it off, which is fine. So we do have Nest Ball. Can't use it just yet, but we do have the ability to kind of set up anything else that we need to. So I think what we can do is just go boss, retreat, and then Technoblast KO Duraludon, and then go to 3, and then just kind of build up the rest of what we need to do. So we can just retreat here, go into Mew, use the Cross Fusion Strike, copy Technoblast for 190. We still have 1 path to the peak, so we should be able to take a knockout on another Duraludon. I don't think that there's going to be too much my opponent can do. I know that we have a couple more power tablets, so I'm just going to get rid of a Mew and a Genesect here. I know that I have at least 3 more power tablets, which means that Mew with a DTE plus Choice Belt, that's 220, plus the rest is 310. So we can hit 310 on a Duraludon. It's not quite enough, but I think what our game plan is here is to just take a knockout on the Arceus and then take a knockout on the Jirachi. Because if we take a knockout here, I don't think that there's too much my opponent is going to be able to do. So there's the DTE, there is the Duraludon coming down. And considering that we only have 1 path to the peak left, I'm pretty sure that the way that we are going to have to do it is go for the Radiant Jirachi into the Arc V-Star. So, and we do get Palpad, which means that we can actually shuffle back in some boss's orders. So what we'll do is use Nest Ball, just check what's in the deck. We do have 1 more boss. We do have Grabber. We have 1 path to the peak left. So I think what we're going to do here, considering I don't need to see any of these cards, I think what we'll do is Iono. Because I know I can dig for the boss the following turn, so we'll just use Iono. Get us 3 fresh cards. We do get a power tablet as well as Grabber. So what we can do is use the Grabber, put the Umbreon to the bottom. My opponent's hand not looking too good. And then I think we need a singular power tablet. So what we'll do is retreat. We're doing 190, 220, 250. So this should be the 280. And then we can just draw a couple more cards just to kind of secure everything else that we might need. Put a box of disasters just in case my opponent plays something like Iono down. And then what we can do here is go Cross Fusion Strike. My math should be right, and we do have Technoblast for 250. And we have boss's orders next turn for the Jirachi, now providing that my opponent doesn't do something like play down or use something like Penny. We know what's in their hand, which means that assuming that they, don't top deck a Penny, we should be okay. And my opponent just goes for the G-Max Pulverization, which means now what we can do is just go for the boss's orders onto the Jirachi, can retreat, and we can just use Cross Fusion Strike to copy Max Miracle, hit 110, and take our very last prize. So, my opponent getting to use the Entrusted Wishes. But although it's the end of the game, they still get the action for it. But I think that everything kind of went smooth. My opponent not being able to get out the Umbreon was really good in our favor, and being able to strip away the Sharon's Cares meant that my opponent couldn't pick up things like the Arc. So I think that was a pretty good first game, kind of showcasing the Luxray definitely did help in the beginning. And, you know, putting the 30 damage did kind of do its job, which meant that we only needed one tablet. So that was game number 1. Let's hop into a game number 2, see if we can do the same thing. Hopefully, we can avoid Spiritomb. Alrighty. Here is the second game with Mew. Thankfully, we are able to go first, which means we are going to be able to attack turn 2. As we can evolve, kind of get what we're going. Kind of figure out the strategy of how we want everything to go. We actually did start Battle VIP Pass as well as Featherball, so we can get 2 Genesect and another Mew. And we're playing against Baxcalibur, so I definitely think that Grabber will be good. So I think what we're going to do here is we'll just go Featherball, grab another Mew. We'll go for the Battle VIP Pass, which will allow us to grab 2 more Genesects. We could actually grab Luxray, but I don't think it's going to be too necessary right now. These turns are just going to be based on, you know, trying to set up as much as possible. And even then, we did get a Nest Ball, which means that we can grab Luxray. Luxray will be good with being able to discard a trainer. We can actually get rid of Iridas and potentially strip away my opponent's ability to really do anything, and we can get rid of cards like Rare Candy. So going into this turn 2, I think we're looking pretty okay. It's going to be a shame that we can't play the path and then judge. We're probably just going to have to judge and then go into something like Luxray. But it's not the end of the world. And if my opponent goes into something like Qianpao, we might be able to take some prizes there too. If we can, you know, do something like Grabber to get rid of a Baxcalibur and then decide if we want to go Luxray, that'll definitely be good. So it's all really going to come down to, you know, what my opponent has in hand and how their turns go. But so far, I'm not seeing any Qianpao, which is good. But they can always go into the Qianpao next turn. So there's a Pokegear. Pokegear failing. There's the Manaphy going down. Manaphy not going to do too much. And my opponent just retreating. Probably just sacking off the Manaphy, and they are. So the nice thing is that we will be able to hit weakness on the Manaphy. Although we're only doing 20 damage with Luxray. I don't think that there's going to be too much that my opponent has to work with. Luxray is going to be really good in the opening part of the games, kind of while we're setting up in the back end. So there's the Qianpao coming down. My opponent only has 2 cards in hand, so I really don't want to kind of go through the possibility of giving them more cards to work with, but at the same time, my hand is very clogged, so I think Judge is going to be my best bet here. And we do get a Cramomatic as well as an Ultra Ball. So I think what we'll do first is we'll use the Cramomatic, get rid of the Lost Vacuum. If we can strip away the superior energy retrievals, that'd be awesome. So I think what we'll do here, just to kind of take a look at my opponent's hand first, to decide what we want to go for, we'll use the Grabber just to take a full look. There is the Bibarel we can put, and then they do have Rare Candy as well as Nest Ball. So I think what we'll do is go into the Luxray and strip that Rare Candy. That way they have to top deck something like an Irida if they want to be able to kind of go for the rest. So we can go for the Fusion Strike system. Draw us 3. Not too much that we have to work with. We'll go Ultra Ball. We do play 4 Vacuum, so I'm okay with getting rid of 2 Vacuum. We'll get rid of a Genesect as well. This will allow us to grab the Mew, so that way we can start to kind of pivot into it. We can play 1 Power Tablet. I don't think I'm going to need more than 1 because I will be hitting 220 with a singular tablet each time. And then we can go Fusion Strike system again. And we do hit the Forest Seal Stone, which means that we do have the ability now to search for the energy for Luxray. Trying to think if there's anything else that I really need to do. I could get rid of an escape rope because I do have the pivots between the 2 Mews. How many escape rope am I down? I'm not down any, so I think that's okay. So we'll get rid of the useless battle VIP pass and the escape rope, grab the second Mew, which means that now we can evolve into this Mew. We can use the other Fusion Strike system, and we do get Path to the Peak as well as double turbo, which is good. That means that we can actually go Path, and then next turn we can use the Forest Seal Stone and start to set up from there. So we'll go into the Luxray, retreat, and Luxray is really just kind of the star of everything right now. So, and the more rare candies that we can potentially rip, the more that my opponent can't, get anything out. So, we'll rip the rare candy, deal 20 damage, and now, it really just comes down to what my opponent can do. And thankfully, with having boss's orders, that means that next turn we can actually go for the boss and my opponent rips the Irida. The one card I didn't need them to get. But they have a choice now because they could grab a Baxcalibur and a Rare Candy and Rare Candy evolve and then just pass. Or they can grab the Ultra Ball, hoping to hit the Rare Candy. But regardless of the situation, I think what I'm going to do next turn is just go for the Baxcalibur, take a knockout on it. That way my opponent doesn't have too many things that they can deal with. And if my opponent doesn't hit Rare Candy here, we're in a even better spot. Speaking of it, there's the Rare Candy. So now if they have a Water Energy, they can go into the Chien-Pao. But they do only have 1. So that means if they go into the singular Chien-Pao, we can actually KO it with Mew. We are only down 1 tablet, and we would only need 1 more. So it's not looking too bad for us right now. My opponent just passes, so now I have an option here. What I can do is I can go for the boss KO on the Baxcalibur, which I don't hate. Then my opponent has to find Rare Candy Baxcalibur plus 5 more energy, and they have to get rid of the path, and I don't think that that's going to happen. So I think going for the Bax is safe and okay to do right now. And then after the fact, we should be okay. So what we'll do here, it's going to put us kind of not a turn behind, but we won't have access to as much draw. But if my opponent does get rid of the path, which they need to in order to improve their game state and board state, we'll be okay. And that we actually have the Box of Disasters as well. So we'll go for the double turbo. We'll put the double turbo on Mew. Unfortunately, we are going to have to get rid of the double turbo here. But I think going into Mew, putting ourselves in a power position and being able to strip basically 2 rare candy as well as a Baxcalibur is solid. The more rare candies that my opponent has to use, the less that they have to work with. So we can just use the Cross Fusion Strike. And we can go for the Techno Blast. We can draw ourselves a single prize. We do get a Mew VMAX, which is a card that we're not going to be able to fully benefit from, as we do have a full board, but my opponent is going to have to find a lot here. They have to find Rare Candy, Baxcalibur, plus a Counter Stadium, plus 5 more energy just to KO a Mew. And if they don't do that, I don't think there's too much they're going to be able to do. So my opponent rips another Irida. So they're 2 Irida down. There's a Bidoof. They do have the Bibarel. They are able to draw 4 cards. And next turn, if they do get rid of the path, it's just going to be about KOing the Chien-Pao. And we can judge, and my opponent concedes there. So, you know, the peer pressure, being able to kind of strip cards away from my opponent. Although they did have the back-to-back turns of the Rare Candy Baxcalibur, you know, having to find so many cards and being stripped of cards because of things like Luxray or just having to deal with Path really puts a lot of pressure onto your opponent. And the sense of being able to judge them to 4 and strip 2 cards from their hand potentially is insane. So, if you guys did enjoy today's video, do me a favor, smash the like button, subscribe, turn on post notifications. If you guys do want a hoodie, let me know down below and I'll get that started. Otherwise, I'll catch you guys in tomorrow's video. Later.